Hi, everybody. Today I'd like to talk about a 1959 giant monster movie called The Giant Behemoth. Well, when I was a child, I didn't know what that word was, and I actually used to call it the Giant Behemoth. Imagine that. You got the Wolfman, then you got the Behemoth. But anyway, Giant Behemoth. And this is a film that was a production part US and part UK, but it takes place in England, and it stars Gene Evans and Andre Morel, who, I love the movie Ben-Hur so much, the '59 version, that I recognize right away. Andre Morel is in Ben-Hur in the early scenes of the movie, but this movie was directed by Eugene Laurie, and one of the first thing you notice about it is that it's not very original, even back in its day. It takes after movies that have already been out and things we're familiar with, like The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, most notably, and also Godzilla or Gojira, if you will, from 1954. So, if there's one thing I can say that is kind of a demerit against this movie, it would be that it's not completely original. It has to do with strange manifestations that are going on in the ocean. And you can see that there's radiation everywhere, and people are dying, and a lot of them are getting all kinds of radiation scars and welts and things all over their faces and stuff. And that's one of the things about this movie that I found interesting. Ultimately, they find out, of course, that it's a giant Paleosaurus, a dinosaur, that emerges and wreaks havoc. And there's a lot of talk early on in the movie as we go through the beginning stages, trying to figure out what is this, and scientists. Also, one of the scientists is Jack McGowan, who you might know as Burke Dennings. He was in The Exorcist later. Okay, he's in here providing a little bit of comedy, but it's very straight. The movie's taken very seriously, and I usually like when they do that. I don't mind a little comic relief here and there, like with Jack McGowan character, but it takes the whole matter very seriously. The only thing is, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself again, this is so by the numbers, very much by the numbers. Strange things going on, talking heads trying to figure out what it is, and trying to get to the bottom of it. Finally, you get your monster. When the monster actually gets into the town and gets on shore and starts crushing people and doing what it does best, the scenes are pretty exciting. I gotta say, they're captivating. But I've never been a big fan, I have to say, of this kind of stop motion animation like Ray Harryhausen did. Not a big fan of that, although the original King Kong in 1933 is a masterpiece. But I found myself thinking, these days you have to take this with a grain of salt, because the monster in this movie, and so many like it, very primitive effects by today's standards, and I like old effects, I like practical effects, but this one in particular, I have to say, you could see, like, in some scenes I noticed what looked like, I don't know, little maybe rips and tears in the monster model. I could see, like, under the underbelly part, there were kind of imperfections there. Um, the scenes are really, kind of terrorizing when the monster does his thing, and very much action oriented, but just primitive in design. Now, so as I say, this is kind of by the numbers, not great, but interesting enough at times. The rampage of the monster is very good. I gotta say, that part is really well done for the day. What I liked about this is, and it's a little bit of a touch that kind of sets it apart from other movies. I liked the radiation thing. It kind of glows and sends out this kind of pulsation, as I say, that affects people, kills them just by the radiation, and they start, kind of like, burning up, if you will, and I kind of like that. I think that's a nice feature that sets it apart from its other films, contemporaries of the day. So that part I did indeed like. And I did some reading afterwards, a little bit of research, and I found out that originally the movie wasn't, I don't think, going to even be a dinosaur. It was just going to be some kind of like blobby substance or creature that emits the radiation. But, the producer decided, he wanted it to be more like, particularly the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. He wanted another movie like that. So we got the Paleosaurus monster. And still, especially in the early scenes, you can see some remnants left over of the original concept of just having a blobby, squishy kind of monstrosity thing. That kind of stays in the finished product. Anyway, here it is, Giant Behemoth. Man, it's worth a view for you giant monster lovers, but it's not one of the greats.